To delete an Azure SQL database, you will need to follow a series of steps to ensure that you are completing the task correctly and safely. First, you need to access the Azure portal, which is the primary interface for managing Azure services, including Azure SQL Database. Once you are logged into the Azure portal, navigate to the Azure SQL Database that you want to delete by selecting the resource group where your database is located. You can do this by clicking on Resource Groups in the navigation menu, then selecting the name of the resource group that contains your database. After selecting the resource group, click on the name of the Azure SQL Database server that hosts your database. Then click on the database you want to delete. You will see an overview of your database, including its name, status, and other relevant details. Before you delete your database, make sure you have backed up any data you want to keep, as deleting a database is a permanent action and cannot be undone. You can create a backup manually or use automated backup features provided by Azure. To delete the database, click on the Delete button at the top of the database overview page. You will be prompted to confirm that you want to delete the database. As this action is irreversible, type the name of the database in the confirmation box to confirm the deletion. It is also important to note that if your database is being used by other Azure services, such as Azure Web Apps or Azure Functions, you may need to update or delete those services before you can delete the database. Additionally, if you have any active connections to the database, you will need to close those connections before deletion. Best practices for deleting an Azure SQL database include making sure you have the necessary permissions to delete the database, verifying that the database is not being used by any critical applications, and taking a final backup of the database before deletion. Finally, after you confirm the deletion, Azure will remove the database and it will no longer be accessible. Make sure to review your resource group and database server after deletion to ensure that all associated resources have been removed and that there are no unexpected charges on your Azure bill.